I'm Mistress Nyxon. I've been in the industry for about 17 years now, and I'm located in the Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Florida area.
I'm Erika Love. I've been a content creator for almost 6 years now. I'm an ambassador for Pineapple Support, and I live in Austin, Texas. I'm also at a doggy daycare co-working space. So if you hear dogs in the background, that is why.
Anna, would you like to go next?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm Anna Foxx. I've been in the adult industry for 12 years now, and I just kind of call myself a well-rounded horror expert because I've done all of the things that you could and should do here. So that's me.
I love that. The last time I saw you, Anna, we were doing some very necessary whorish things. It's such a pleasure to be here and to serve on this panel as your facilitator. I'm just going to share some sort of intro slash ground rules so that our audience and our participants know how to engage with us during this conversation because we're about to have a chat. And there will be some people, chiming in throughout, but I really want us to have this conversation and where people really get to have sort of like almost like a behind the scenes of what adult performers and content creators talk about as it relates to this particular topic. And so obviously your level of vulnerability and share is up to you. And if anyone has a burning question or desire in the chat for any of us here, please feel free to share that. But if it crosses any of your boundaries or even desires to talk about it today, you're more than welcome to pass it or save it for later. Okay. So you're again invited to speak from your own lane. You stand here as Mistress Nyxon, Erika Love, and Foxx, and I am just setting Jasmine. We are not representing any particular group of people or community. You get to represent yourself today. And that in itself is a lesson that I hope our audience will take, that we come to this as full comprehensive human beings. And we do get to represent ourselves, including in our work. So I hope that you feel that invitation. I hope you'll take that invitation today. Again, this is a discussion, not a formal presentation. So if something doesn't sit well with you at home, or you would like to explore that more on your own personal time, please do so. We hope that this inspires you to think about how you interact with content creators, as well as your own desires, your pleasures, and also how you consume content. All right. And then finally, none of these answers are prepared. So if something comes up from our guest or our audience that might be a little bit triggering, thankfully, we are in a safe space where we can take care of one another. So if you need to tap out or tend to whether it is our emotional support animals or our professional support animals or whatever it is that you need, please do that. And that goes for the folks at home too. I am in my most grounded space and area. So if you need to get a little bit more comfortable, take off your socks, wiggle your toes, do what you got to do. Okay. Awesome. So I prepared a couple of prompts just to get us started. If it doesn't pertain to you, just, let another person speak. Or if you say like, oh, that's a great experience, or that's quite a share, my experience has been different. That's fine. If we get through the prompt, awesome. If we don't, that's okay too. All right. So how has your identity, your personal identity, shaped the way people project project desires and assumptions onto you? Any thoughts about that one? Yeah, come on, Erika. It's not a formal presentation, so come on, just pick yourself off here, jump on in there.
Well, I'll answer this. So my body shape has always, I've always been sexualized because of my body shape. So I kind of came into this industry with that being a familiar feeling already. I'm very busty if you guys aren't familiar with my work. So, there's stereotypes and things that men say. So when I started doing this, it was like, oh, okay, like I know what I'm getting myself into. And then there were many things that I did not know were associated in terms of kinks and fetishes that I had to research. And also, like, I'm not actually a MILF. I just play one on the internet. So there was definitely a learning curve getting into this. And I think part of that learning was really understanding my boundaries with some of it and understanding, like the fan psychology behind it. Because at the end of the day, we're fulfilling a desire, we're fulfilling a need. And sometimes when you're wrestling with that feeling of what's my boundary? And oh, but I really want to fulfill their need, there's like this tension that gets created. So for me, my experience over the past 5, 6 years, that's where some, stress has come into play in this line of work.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Does anyone else like to share a little bit about? Yeah, come on.
Erica, I think you said it perfectly. Um, the industry kind of has a way of giving you an identity, and if you weren't aware of it, it will quickly let you know where you are at, and what you can do. And I think it is stressful trying to have like your own identity as just a human being, and the industry being like, that's cute. You're here, here, and here. So like creating your own boundaries within the boundaries that are set for you is really hard because I feel like a human, but porn is like, yeah, but what kind of human? You have to tag yourself in 4 different ways, like very at the very least, which is sometimes frustrating because you don't necessarily always want to be in those boundaries that the industry sets for you. Like I always would like no boundaries. Like I'm like I want to be all of the things, but it's limited in who you are in the industry, if that makes sense.
Like, what was that moment where you were like, hold on now, like that's a desire. I hear you, and that's okay. But for me, this feels like objectification. Like this, I feel like I'd have to give up like my personhood to engage in what you're asking me. Um, any thought? Whether you did it or not, just that moment. Whether you don't have to say whether you did it or not.
It's like a
Uh,
couple layers there for me because it's like
mhm.
the first time someone called me mommy, I was like, oh, right, that's a thing. Am I okay
Mm,
with this? Like,
mhm.
how do I feel about this? And, eventually came to a place where as long as I'm staying within the terms of conditions and of OnlyFans, I am like okay with that. And then, kind of a place where it really kind of like I was like, what the F? Like, why is this my label? Actually came from the industry itself. And, the BBW community embraced me, but I had never been called a BBW in my life. And I was like, okay, this is what I am because I'm not, again, I'm a certain body shape. So they're just like, boop, this is where you go. So that was a little bit of a thing because then I had to draw my own boundaries within that world. But where it kind of actually the place where it started to really kind of get difficult was in terms of working with other content creators because they also label you. And I think that's what people don't realize. And they fetishize you and expect you to do everything that, someone in your category might do. And then when you say no, it's like, oh, well, like that's upsetting to them. And then you have to navigate that. And that's really where I was like, oh, I don't like this. What do I do with this?
Mm, thank you. Anybody else? That line? Jump on in there.
Okay. Man. It is very weird um being aggressively labeled by by the industry and by your peers. I think like the first time I'm obviously black, but the industry was like, no, you're black, bitch. You're black, 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 black ass, black, black sisters, black, 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 black. I was like, wait a fucking minute, bitch. Like I think it's obvious I'm black. I don't think I needed to be labeled black in 18 different ways and constantly like I'll just do a scene and I didn't think it had anything to do with me being black or them not being black. And it's like titled like black ass attack. And I'm like, shit, my God, can I just be a whore? I'd rather be a whore. Can I just be a slutty wife, cheating? I'll be the accountant, get me stepmom, shit. But I have to be like black ass stepmom, you know? And it's like, at times it's just like a little bit much because it doesn't feel celebrated in the way that I would like to, like that the way that I celebrate myself. It's like, oftentimes like feels like mockery or I mean I'm being fetishized, so like I feel it, and I would just like it to be like more celebrated in a way that it doesn't feel so cringy. Sorry for my puppy alarm that is agreeing with me, but yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. In bold letters. Now, so now we have black BBW. All right. So opposed to Anna and Erica make magic on the screen, right? Any other thoughts? Yeah.
I always thought it was like boundary crossing because in my intro, I didn't really say too much about myself. I'm a fetish content producer. I was a fetish actress for other companies. The very beginning of my career, I've been creating my own content for over a decade now. I'm also a professional dominatrix and I see in-person clients. So it's two very different ends of the spectrum. And the problem I had with the fetish world is that as I never minded fulfilling fantasies and doing content, with the different fetishes that I found to be fun, I don't really have all those fetishes. And I thought it was boundary crossing when not only fans would project their fetish onto me, but sometimes producers would as well. And I was like, but you should know better. Like, I kind of expect that from a fan, like, unfortunately, and I can handle that. But, when I show up as like my regular self and my personality at a shoot, and the, male producer is like, oh, well, why aren't you wearing heels? My dude. Like, there's a time and a place, or, like, I can't believe you would come to this shoot wearing tennis shoes. Why aren't you wearing boots with heels? I'm like, go fuck yourself. Like that was just, it just made me felt like reduced, like I wasn't respected. Like, I'm coming to your home. I don't know you very well. You're paying me to be vulnerable and do things. And now I kind of just feel like, oh, I guess I'm just a piece of fetish meat. Like, like my personality didn't exist. Like, I was only, and like, to me, the producer should know better than the fan. So that was a little boundary crossing for me and a little, deflating.
Or sometimes the producer is the fan.
Right, which I do understand. Of
Mhm.
course. I mean, of course, but it's like you should know better than because
Right, right.
that's a bit excuse for you. You
Hmm.
should know better.
Yeah. You know my body of work probably more than I do, right? Why would you be asking for that?
Right. Why would I walk up to a shoot to fulfill your fantasy? Like dressed to
Right.
like the damsel in distress. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, I have other,
I kind of hear Mistress Simpson saying when the person on the other side, the non-performer, has a hard time within themselves creating the distinction between reality and fantasy,
yeah.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like,
And
why would you walk from your car into that space with, stiletto heels? That's definitely fantasy based,
why
right?
would I get dressed up in the morning? Like, why would I get dressed, in the morning to come to a shoot to because dressed in like your fantasy? Like, I'm dressing as myself and how I'm comfortable and how I want to present myself to like the world. And what I do in front of a camera is not a character because Nyxon's an extension of who I really am, but I'm playing a character in front of the camera as someone who's, doing this whatever fetish it is. So it's just very dehumanizing to me to be talked to that way, especially by a man.
Totally relate because I feel like when I came into this, I was like, I'm creating a character. Erika Love is a version of myself turned up to a 10, right? She will do things on camera that I've never even considered in my real life. I'd be like, oh my God, I don't know what to do here. and I used to work in mainstream entertainment. And so I kind of got to see the behind the scenes coming into this. So I knew, I was like, whatever a fan says you are is what you are. And it doesn't matter if you're a bad guy, a good guy, whatever they say you are, that's what you're always going to be to them. And, I would see the talent show up in whatever their like hoodies and everything. And then it's like, okay, I showed up to work and now I have to put on my professional wardrobe for the character I am today. And it's like they were allowed 2 outfits and that's it. And if you knew they were in one of those outfits, like, okay, they're on. If they're in their like street clothes, like don't bother them. That was kind of like the role behind the scenes. But this idea of like we're playing characters is so relevant and real. And, that is this kind of weird way too of that, playing into the fetishes and the kinks, because you do have to define like what your character is and what they won't do for people.
Thank you. So I like that also, if you see me in this attire, if you and I have on the same costume, then treat me accordingly, right? And we could talk about what that looks like in public too, and boundaries and fetishization in our characters. But let me ask you, what do you see as a pattern that's emerging in your niche of the or area of the industry, or even the culture at large that has an impact on how you are desired versus fetishized versus objectified? So while you're thinking of that, I'll put myself on the spot a little bit here. I'll say for me, I am a MILF. Like even when I don't want to play one. And because I think there's been like an increase of like the sexiness of moms in mainstream culture, that there is a expectation that there is no separation of like sweat clothes mom and like I really want you to see like the changing of my body and seeing me in this way as a mom. It's like I'm not always on. Sometimes I'm like literally covered in crayon throw up and probably pee and not the sexy way out. So I think that this increase in the culture around moms being sexy, as much as I was championing that, I am also seeing a different kind of pressure to be a sex pot mom in a different. So, okay, that's enough time. Y'all should have thoughts.
I think there's a lot of pressure to always look our hottest and always look our best, which is why I'm intentionally today, like no makeup, glasses, hoodie. I got home from being away all weekend at like 10 p.m. last night. I was like, this is the real me. This is Erin. This isn't Erika today. And, it's like when you're posting things on the internet to connect with fans all the time, again, they have this certain perception of you. And if you go through a phase of content creation where you're like, you know what, I'm just going to do the all natural thing for a little while. Some of them are like, this isn't what I want. This isn't what I paid for. Like, where's the sexy, glamorous, big titty MILF? And it's like, well, she's on vacation. But I still need to make content. But then on the opposite end, there are people who want the all natural. They're like, you don't need all that. You look your most beautiful. And it's like, you can't satisfy everybody. You can't be all things to all people. So you really have to say, you know what, this is the best I can do today to be a MILF. So this is what I'm putting out there in the world. And you have to kind of just like be able to close out the negativity and, know that you are serving somebody today. You are making somebody's day by just being your true authentic self in your best or not best MILF form.
Yes, thank you.
It is tiring. Somebody made a comment. I'm like, it's exhausting. This is why content creators talk about burnout all the time.
Absolutely. And so I hear you saying it's like there's this expectation of being on all the time, right? And then like, yeah, going to work always looking tippy top. And the change that we're having now is that we work all the time, right? finding your people that are good with, like understanding that your fans are not like expanding them a little bit, right? Giving them your regular degular, like how you woke up, and that there are people, probably a lot more than maybe we expect, that are going to be happy and find you desirable, you, not your character, if you want to share that.
And like, I know that I have a certain level of privilege when I roll out of bed. It's like my hair is straight. Like I, can get away with not feeling like I have to put on a ton of makeup. Like I can, like I don't feel like I have to get done up where I know, for example, like my sister is a trans woman. So she's like, no, I don't have my makeup on yet. I can't. I don't take photos yet. And I'm like, I get it. I totally understand that. And so like people add that layer on where you're like, no, I have to do this. Yeah, it is exhausting.
Any other shares about how your area of industry slash the culture at large is perhaps having some impact on the impact of your work?
So I feel like I've been like with my like area, like as a Black female performer, I've kind of been like okay in navigating that aspect of my career. But like nowadays, it's the AI that I feel like is like the competition, because with the pressures of us having to be on all the time, now there's like a fucking AI fucking version of me that if I didn't have body dysmorphia now, well, I do now, like there's the face tune and the body tune, and like people get praised for, enhancements and things. So I feel like it's just like a personal like war with image, like your image, like creating the best image of yourself. And it's really hard because we see our fans in person now. People, I offer Zoom calls and Skype calls with my fans and stuff like that. So like, like they see me. So I'm trying to keep up with the image that I've created of myself, and then like myself matching my image at all times, which is hard. I'm like competing with myself and
Mm.
and any like enhanced images of myself that might come out, which is hard.
Any other thoughts? I have some to add to this. Okay. You were saying, and about that competition within yourself, and so it sounds like that we're all kind of veterans up in this conversation, whether in-person work all the way to one-on-one video calls. So there's some generations and iterations of sex work where we are having these conversations. You have that first conversation when you get into the industry, right? About what you will and won't do, and whatever comes with that first phase of conversation that we have with ourselves. And then we're in the middle of our career. We're kind of like getting the hang of it. And now we're introducing this other dialogue where it's like we've quieted the comments, we've quieted the producers, we're selling our own stuff, but then you have to have this dialogue with yourself where it can almost sound like, did I fetishize myself? Have I objectified myself? Whose desire am I desiring right now? All right, so that's the prompt. Take it where you want. So let's talk about that.
As far as like, because I do produce my own content now and I have for quite a while. As far as am I fetishizing myself, like I think I kind of tackled that personally because I only so before when I was working for others, I was doing work for money to get experience, and it was whatever I felt comfortable with, or whatever I wanted to try, and which was cool because I found out I learned a lot about myself. But then when I got into my own content creating, I only wanted to do the things that brought me joy. I only want to produce the fetishes that I like. I mean, they might not be my fetish, but I'm very into them. I get them psychologically, and I can have fun with the scripts and the models that I hire, and all the way down the board. So I really only do things that bring me joy. And same, with my pro dom work. I have a list of things that I specialize in on my website. And, guys contact me and they're like, well, I only want to do what you're interested in. And my response is always, I only do what I'm interested in. I only offer what I'm interested in. So rest assured, it's going to be because I want to do it. So that was, I don't know, a way that I was able to, I guess, not fetishize myself and not,
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes we all feel like fetish dispensers, right? Because we get the burnout. It's just inevitable when it happens. But, I try to only do things that I really, really like and really want to do and on my own terms. And yeah, I do customs, but I only accept the ones that I want to do, the ones that fit in with my work, the scripts that I love, that are creative and allow me to be creative with my producing. And, clearly things I think will sell for me also. So just by kind of being in control of my own stuff and really focusing on things that bring me joy really helps keep me from being that fetish dispenser, from fetishizing myself, and it sort of like tamped down the projection
I love
onto
that.
me from others a bit.
Thank you for sharing that. It makes me kind of think about how early on sometimes the thing that brings us joy might be money, right? And like especially in the beginning, it's like, oh, like they want me to do that and I'm gonna get that. And then you start doing the like value thing, right? But I do think as we have whether these conversations with other models, with ourselves, or we get that line that like where everybody kind of shared, like, hold on, they're asking me to do what? Why? Or like this is the 13th title that says black. Like is my first name Black Anna Fox? Like what? Um, when we have that moment, I think it is where we start to figure out what does actually bring us joy, right? Where is our pleasure center at? And then how do we accommodate that in the work that we do? And maybe that's why we have such veterans here. Yes, Mr. Smith.
Um, and I've stopped just to like continue on like with what you said and what I said.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in this 17 years, and there's plenty of things that I was really into in the beginning of my career, and then I stopped doing. And I got started in the industry as a bondage model, and I'm not submissive, but it was fun work, and I did it for so many years. And I went hard too, because it was fun and it was a challenge for me. I did it for me, but it fucked up my body. And over 2 years ago, I started having issues. And I'm like, this work doesn't even bring me joy anymore. I don't get out of it what I got out of it before. And my body's fucked up. Like, I'm 50 years old. Like, I need I'm old. Like, I'm too old to do this and anymore. And so I stopped. And nobody gave me grief in the industry. I mean, people were sad, but that's to be expected. But luckily, nobody gave me a hard time. But I still get like, oh, I can't, I'm producing now. I can't wait to tie you up. I'm like, honey, that ship has sailed. Like it's gone, it's done. Bye-bye. And just, I kept my firm boundary and like, well, I'll pay you. I don't care. Me being able to use my right arm is more important than like the what you're gonna pay me. Me having like not having jaw problems is more important. So I have you know, quit doing lots of things that I used to do and gained a big following from. And I just always came from, well, you're not in charge of me. You're not my boss. You just got to fucking deal with it. Yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of the work that I've done, and there's thousands upon thousands of videos of me out there. Go buy some, including stuff on my own membership site. So go join my site. Like go join my site and look there. Go support other producers and look there because there's
Mm-hmm.
plenty of them, but you got to have that hard boundary, I feel.
Absolutely. Thank
I
you,
love
Erica.
that you just mentioned money because the misperception about this community that like hurts me in my heart is that if you do one thing for money, you will do anything for money. And that is not the case. There is a whole range for everyone, and it's different. And when a fan comes back and says that, It's like, I understand you love big titties. That's great, but I'm not going to pee on camera for you. Or you come at them and be like, I'll do that for you for $1,000. That's my worth. That is my self-worth to pee for you. And they're like, that's ridiculous. So and so did it for $100. And it's like, well, that's where her boundary is. We don't have the same boundary.
Ooh, yes, talk about it. Well, send them to me, because I will.
Another thing is too, it's like, continue what Erica said. It's like, oh, you did this one time. Yeah, I did it one time and it sucked and I hated it. Oh, but you did it for so and so. Okay, well then go to so and so. Like go get the video there. Like I tell a lot of people tough shit a lot. Well, will you do this? I saw you do this once. No, I didn't like it, but I want you to do it. I don't fucking care.
This
I
is
just don't fucking care.
I totally get it. And I'm just going to say this because Anna mentioned AI. I made my first fart video a couple months ago, which I said I would never ever do. But I used AI to make the sound and like add it to the video. I was like, oh, again, like I have boundaries, but if a robot's doing it, my boundaries are a little skewed for money.
You, you just reminded me of a client that used to ask for farting videos, and I just can't do them on demand. I just can't. But thank you. Thank you. I'm curious to know, I mean, and just talking about AI, actually, we're also talking about like the psychological pressures that come with that, the body pressures. It kind of makes me even think about like seeing versions of myself that are more like what people would like to see. So like a bigger butt, right? Or milkier breast or something, and what that kind of does. And so I just want to put this out there for you guys. How do you take something that is exploitative, or where you've been objectified or fetishized, or you're looking at like the work that has been produced that was sort of outside of your, I don't want to say outside of your boundaries, but maybe that was more feeding someone else's desires more so than your desire to do it. How do you, what is your formula, your recipe to making that feel empowered now? Like, I'll give you an example while you're thinking. For me, where I feel exploited is like with AI, like knowing that content that we've signed a long time ago may resurface and I'll be finally twerking, right? And so the way that I've kind of felt like I need to reclaim that is very similar to what you said, Erica, is I got to figure out how to use this stuff and exploit myself first. Like I want to make the highest dividends on it if possible.
I mean,
what is some reclamation of any of this conversation that we're having that you've done?
I mean, just because you kind of mentioned AI again, my personal perspective on it is that if I don't do it of myself, somebody's going to do it eventually. If fans going to do it, fans make fan art, like it's going to happen. So let me give it a try. And, AI Erica can do things that I can't do in human form, to be completely honest. I can't, enlarge my breasts 10 times the size. I can't grow to be, as tall as the Empire State Building and fulfill a goddess fantasy. Like I can't lactate. Like, there's all these things I can't do. And I always just try to be really honest with fans, to be like, I'm not going to fake lactating for you. Like, that's just not going to happen. And I think that, I'm also a believer in you don't know what you like until you try it. So I usually, I'm like, okay, let me give this a try. Let me see. But I agree. I think a couple of years ago, I thought making certain types of content was, empowering and all of that. And really, after a couple of years, I got to a point of, I'm like, I don't want to make this type of content anymore. I don't want to shoot certain types of scenes anymore. And, it's disappointed fans, but I had to do what was best for me. And it wasn't an easy decision, to be honest. And it probably hurt my sales a little bit. And I think that's where we all really start to, again, like feel that kind of like internal struggle of like, oh, but I'll probably make more money if I keep making these videos. And it's like, maybe, but you don't know that. You don't know what's gonna satisfy your fans. Like a very simple example, and I'm sure some people can kind of relate because it's definitely a fetish thing, but like I would get some looners, like the balloon guys for a while. Yes, you're shaking your head yes. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm like, I'm getting lightheaded. I'm like, I can't do this. So even though it paid well, I was like, I gotta stop. I totally gotta stop because it's not just like even my mental health. I'm like, this is my physical health.
Any other reclamations of basically your piece? Mhm.
I think the new train of AI is kind of frustrating because we're kind of forced to jump on the bandwagon because it's taking off. So it doesn't matter if you like it or not. You should like Erica said, exploit yourself before they exploit you. I have found like fans that already made like really fucked up AI porn of me and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's so shitty. And I think like the big word is consent. Like, I want to be able to say, yeah, it's okay if you make me with bigger titties, or hey, it's okay if you make me with a bigger ass or make me lactate or whatever. Like, I should be able to say yes to that and not somebody else who has the tools to create me in a likeness that I didn't even know was possible. So I think it's just frustrating because it's just taking off in a way that it's hard to catch up. Like I can't even get my chat GPT to like put an outfit on me because it's like, no, that's too close to you. And I'm like, but this motherfucker can make me sucking a dick already. How is that possible? So we're kind of not doomed, but we gotta just jump on the bandwagon because it's here and it's able to do things that we literally can't do. So I just need my digital wallet to transfer to my real wallet, and then I'll be
Mm.
okay with it.
The consent piece. I mean, I think for just sort of understanding that, yes, this is another aspect of this industry that we are going to have to wrap our minds around, right? Our minds, our emotions, our finances, right? All of that around and figure our way through. But it does kind of remind me of like, when things used to be on VHS and then it became, sharing it behind the scenes or people grabbing it off of your OnlyFans and things of that sort, or even in the most sort of formal way of creating porn, a production company, and then it comes out and it doesn't describe you according the way that you would like to be described. So where we're talking about some of these modern ways of being objectified and fetishized and exploited, also remembering that the foundation and some of the traditional ways of doing this work will also and continue to be exploitative, um, dehumanizing, and non-consensual in how we are described. So, all right. I'm going to take a pause from these prompts because I know I have some of the most popular people in the industry, and there are people in the audience that registered very specifically to be able to ask their question or share their comment with you. So I could just call y'all up if I want to talk more personally, but I want to give the folks their time. So at this juncture, our panelists are welcome to share anything that you really wanted to bring to this topic. Feel free to just take yourself off mute. And then also if our guests in the chat or that are listening in would like to send a question through the Q&A or in the chat, I'll be happy to take those for a couple minutes before we even begin to wrap up. Anything you really wanted to share when you were like, ooh, I got the mic on this topic?
I'll follow up on one thing. Okay, I have two things I can share. One is one topic I don't think we've touched yet, and maybe other people here can relate, and that's why I'm going to share it, is like dating in my personal life. I've been recognized a few times on dating apps locally here in Austin. It's happened like 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years, and I was like, oh, you called me Erica. I didn't tell you about Erica yet. And in some ways it made those conversations easier, but these men like had this image of me in their head. They were familiar with me, at least on, social media. And at the end of the day, like only one of like four, I think it was like three or four, only one of them could be like, okay, I understand you're a human being because I've dated a sex worker before. But it was still this level of excitement and like build up, to being like, oh my God, I'm gonna have sex with this person. And it's like that's one place where it's really hit me in my personal life to be like, oh, these guys just want to fuck a porn star. Like, this probably isn't going to go anywhere. I'm like checking a box for them and fulfilling a fantasy. And now I've really gotten to this place where I'm like, okay, I've got to figure out how to navigate this and not be this for that person. Because, yes, what I love to find a man who's like, oh, yeah, I'll be your big titty porn star wife every single night in the bedroom. But like, you got to get from A to B first, like there's a transition period there where you have to realize I'm a human being and I'm not going to do all those things every night that I maybe have done on camera.
Just being a porn star in itself is being fetishized just for that. Mm-hmm. So talking about the intersections, and the added one. Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing that. And also being able to make that distinction between what is pleasurable for you at work versus pleasurable for you in your personal relationships. Thank you. So here is a question that comes from Leela. What is your routine for 2 minutes before the camera comes on? The last 2 minutes before you turn into the person we know. Go ahead, Anna.
So it depends, because if I'm about to go on camera, like on a mainstream set, I'm usually goofing off with the crew. Like we're usually giggling and like decompressing together because we discussed what's going on and stuff. But when I'm at home shooting content, I am like cussing like a sailor. I'm like, this motherfucker wants me to tell him for 60 seconds how nice his average day. I just have to go in, and I'm so glad that I don't record any of that because I would probably have no fans, but I just gotta get it out. I gotta get it out. Like, why is your dick on this shitty blanket? Why are you in the bathroom? Why is there trash? I gotta get all the negatives out so only positive comes out of my throat. It's helpful.
So cool. I'm wondering if anybody has the opposite of that, where you're just like, oh, look how thoughtful that you hired me, and then I get on there and I'm like, this tiny piece of shit. I'm like, wait, really, it actually looks fine. Erika, how about for you?
I do one of two things, and yeah, it depends on like if I'm shooting with somebody else or if I'm shooting on my own. I'm either listening to what I call my bad bitches radio, which is all the music to like get me hyped up and get me like in the mood, like you are a bad bitch, you go get this done. Or I am doing like yoga breathing and it's like neck rolls, and like trying to just like take deep breaths and like loosen up and be like, okay, you're ready. So just depending on the day and what I'm about to do, those are the two things I do. And I do think it helps. You get yourself out of your head. You have this little transitional phase, while you're getting into character. And it's whatever works for you. I definitely encourage you to find that thing and do it.
Love it. Mrs. Nyxon, you want to share 2 minutes before your next session comes in the door?
Oh my God, I'm freaking the fuck out.
No way. Tell us.
If it's a shoot, since I hire, so like the model and the camera person that are coming over 2 minutes before the shoot, I'm like running around, getting lights, directing, saying this is what we're gonna do today, this is what we're gonna wear, blah 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 blah, wardrobing myself, making sure everything's positioned, and then going. If it's a session, 2 minutes before the session, I'm usually pretty cool cucumber. I'm just finishing setting up like the stuff I'm gonna need at the dungeon for the day, which is where I'm at now. And just kind of going over in my mind. If it's someone I haven't seen before, like our conversations, and usually I'll print out some stuff and have their phone, their email chain, and I'll kind of go over to make sure that, I have enough stuff to do within the thing. So 2 minutes before a session is a lot cooler than 2 minutes before a shoot for me.
Okay. Just to chime in, I'm running to the bathroom. like 2 minutes before even jumping on here. This is like, look, this bladder is not gonna last. So are you saying that all the folks represented here are human and not sex robots? And you don't do like some special like dominatrixy thing or some special like big titty thing or some like very, very high priority black lady thing?
I think some people would be really disappointed if they knew what happened 2 minutes before anything that we do. It would be like a womp womp. That, ooh.
Or there'll be like Morgan Jones in the chat who says, I've never felt so seen. Right.
We're usually bent over asking if there's toilet paper in our cracks still, or is it all good? Like, are we good to go?
We're good. Okay. Oh, just a little more lube, a little bit more lube. I want to start with more lube. Yeah. This is cool. I love it. I think it's so important when talking about such a heavy topic, to really deduce it down to how kind of ridiculous some of the stereotypes and some of the objectification and the fantasies that won't end, right, are when we sort of think like, yeah, at some point she's gonna need to go to the bathroom. Oh, you know, I bet that makeup must come off every night. Okay, how are my panelists doing? How's your energy? Yeah, heart, mind. All right, cool. Max, let's see. So Erika and Anna, do you find yourself being your porn self more than your real self?
I think that I am definitely my real self more than my porn self. And again, it's like I do try to like keep a level of realness when I'm on social media to be like, this is what I look like today. And I pretty much am in yoga pants and a sports bra every single day. And I share some parts of my life, like, oh, here's this cute thing my dog did today, stuff like that. And I do, there's always going to be fans that want to see that kind of side of you and do humanize you. And then, you know, I definitely can slide into porn mode very, very quickly, but I do try to keep porn mode for the that side of my life, whether it's on OnlyFans or at an industry event or, on Twitter live, whatever I'm doing. But my friends will tell you, like, I can slip into porn mode pretty quickly. I'm a very open person when it comes to sexuality. And sometimes they're like, what did you do today? And I'm like, oh, I titty fucked a 12-inch candy cane and made $300 off of it. And they're like, oh, so, it depends on who you are in my life, I guess, to see what version you get of me. But I do feel fortunate to be like, no, I get to be myself. I'm walking around as my porn self. I also don't live in like LA or Vegas where like there's porn stars walking around everywhere. So, I get to go to Target just being me or the grocery store. And I don't know if I could handle having to be a porn star every single day, to be honest. Like every moment of every day, if I had to act like that, I don't know if I could do it.
Anna?
I agree. Unfortunately, Anna does not have a chance to exist really because I created that bitch. So, it is me. It is me most of the time. The only time I feel like I switch into porn star mode is like during a picture or like when the camera's on or when I'm specifically have to show up as Anna Foxx. But even then, I'm not good at. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you watch, so I don't know what version of me you thought you were gonna get, but I tell jokes, I snort when I laugh too hard. Like I'm just a goofy goober, and I think I come off way cooler in a picture than how wiggity line I am in real life. So yeah, I don't know. I have to remember that I am Anna Fox, so that way when I go out, I'm like, well, maybe I should brush my hair today, just in case. They don't need to see, haven't seen the homeless version of me yet. So let me just present myself, just nicely for today.
Oh, this is very, very, very interesting. And I'm like, oh, I gotta watch that video back. Like, did she snort and they edited it out? Right? Mistress Erika and Anna, do you have significant others, and hmm, I'm assuming whoever you are with accepts and supports what you do. But personally, for yourselves, do you find that you are yourself? Do you find, okay, this is who, is it difficult for you to let go of who you are on screen and just be you? So there's a couple of parts there that you can choose to dissect however you'd like and whatever feels comfortable to share. But maybe how fetishization of the porn star maybe shows up in personal relationships if you have one or have. This is me taking that question and massaging it.
I'll go first since I already talked about dating. So I am single. I've dated people during the past 5 to 6 years, while doing OnlyFans. And overall, I will say, like, I talked about some challenges, but when I started doing this, the person I was dating very much was like, oh, yeah, if you're going to do this, because I had been only doing solo content for my first year and a half, and they were the one who encouraged me to go out there and be like, oh, yeah, you got to do orgies and threesomes and all this stuff. And, what I realized as we were breaking up and when the relationship did not transition out of COVID life into the real world, I was like, you wanted me to just present you with threesomes on a silver platter because you, again, had it in your head that I do OnlyFans content. Therefore, I must know women that just want to casually have threesomes with my boyfriend. And it sucked. It really kind of sucked, to be honest. And, I'm not dating this person anymore. So lessons were definitely learned about that, about, how to navigate these conversations and understanding, okay, yeah, this horny guy is like very excited, but we need to like set realistic expectations before things, move in certain directions. I would love to have a partner who wants to participate in this and be supportive of it, but it is definitely one of those things where I'm like, you just never know until you have the conversation with somebody. And I think, you meet people that you think will be cool with it, even with friends. Like sometimes you think people will be cool with it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, you're not cool with this. I've dated people where they're like, yeah, this is great. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I have to go to XBiz Miami. And it's like, oh, you're gonna have sex with Thor again? Okay, like I don't know if I'm okay with that. And it's like, well, then this isn't gonna go anywhere. Um, I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but it's just such a layered question, I feel like, for everybody. And, you know, you should ask these questions. You should always ask these questions if you're a creator or a porn star and trying to date people or married to people. And I will say I've definitely met a lot of people in relationships that are, God, I had never met a poly person in real life until we started doing this type of work. So I think if you approach all of this with like curiosity and empathy, then you will hopefully have a good experience in trying to navigate relationships in the world of adult.
So
As you
in my relationships nowadays, I prefer someone who's not fetishizing me or expecting a porn star experience. Like, this is our bed. I don't want to spit on our sheets that we have to sleep in, you know? So, before COVID, I would say I was down to like, yeah, let me be a porn star. But now I'm like, no, I'm fucking tired. My knees hurt, my neck hurts. I got fucking nerve damage here, there, you know. So I prefer just having a normal sex life nowadays. And I think it does take a special person to kind of understand that, like, I'm only like that on camera. Like, there's no need to put on a performance at home. I want to starfish. I want to lay down. I want to roll over and sleep. We don't need to do all of the fucking theatrics at home. So I feel like very blessed to have lovely partners who don't require that of me. And I don't know. It's like it's to each their own. Like maybe some people do like all of that stuff, but I am tired.
okay, so you're having the kind of sex that pleases you right now.
Yes,
Yeah,
very much so.
that is beautiful. Mistress Nixon, you're about to chime in.
I am. I do not have a significant other right now. Um, Although I do date. The last relationship I was in ended about 7 years ago, and he was in the industry, and he absolutely 100% fetishized me. Absolutely. It was a horrific experience. I don't recommend it for anybody. By the time I realized what was happening, I was like in too deep and moved across country. So, but that's been gone for like over for a really long time. It was just a really bad experience. So because of that experience, I definitely prefer to date people who are not in the industry and perhaps aren't really aware of, me, of Nyxon before we meet. The guy that I do date, we did meet because he booked a session with me. So that was an interesting navigation and ethics for me because um, I don't I don't do this job to date. I've never done anything outside of the dungeon, or outside of the dom sub, um, at all with the client. And as soon as he walked in the door, I think we both were like, oh, shit. Like, oh my God. And then I had to compose myself. And then it was his first session ever. And he's not submissive, but he wanted to explore some things. And there was a point when he was started to lead. I'm like, oh, this is nice. I'm like, oh no, stop it. You no, no. So I had to like, give myself a little internal pep talk and like, you're the charge. And then he booked a second session and like a week later. And then he asked me to come. Oh, he lives 6 minutes from me. He asked me to come over, and I didn't know his motivation, and I didn't want to ask his motivation. I wanted to figure it out, and so I played a very awkward, hard to get game for 3 months. 3 months, and he still kept at it and never booked a session again, which was fine because I felt that would be awkward at that point. So I was glad we didn't have to like hurdle that. But he was very patient, and I was very awkward on purpose, and he didn't care. So we hang out. He's very busy. He's very busy, and as am I. So we hang out every once in a while. It's at a good pace for both of us. It's not awkward. It's very comfortable. We don't talk about work other than like regular people would talk about work. He's not very interested. Oh, what did you do today? Did you do this? Did you peg him? Did you touch? He's not like getting off on my work, and he's not scrutinizing it either. Like, oh, what did you do? It's just like, oh, you busy? Cool. Do you want to watch a movie? Yeah. All right. Do you want to go in the hot tub? Yeah, I love that. Normal stuff. We have normal bedroom activities. He is kinky, so we do, which I am too. So we're very compatible that way, but like we don't need it. So it's nice for right now.
Love that. I'm hearing pacing is important, understanding people's intentions and their expectations, right? Allowing yourself pleasure, right? Like don't spit my bed, changing the sheets before I had planned to change the sheets is not what I'm trying to do. Or, fetishizing me and getting these sessions for free, not gonna happen, right? Love this. Okay, we're at time. So I would just, I would love for us to leave with what would you like to share about yourself? Again, you're in this space, you are an individual representing you. Okay. Not a company that you've worked for in the past, not your brand, not your race. You are not standing up for all blonde heads across the world or except like just what do you want us to know about you, the human?
One thing that I had to learn getting into this industry was the difference between a kink and a fetish, because a lot of people I don't think understand the layers of this is something I like, and this is something I need to feel satisfied. And that, in terms of just feeling, desired and fetishized and sexualized and objectified and all of the things, like that helped me learn to navigate things a little bit better, to be like, this person wants this person wants that, here is my boundary. And then again, with the dating, being like, oh, no, 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 this person really, really loves big titties, and like, this is a problem. We're going to have to figure this out. Like, because sometimes it is a little bit too much. So I just share that because, it helped me. And if you are not familiar with those levels of desire and kinks and fetishes and, what is identifying your safe zone, I guess I'll call it, is really a helpful tool. So if you don't have that, find it.
Dear porn, I know I'm black. I know.
She was born this way, y'all. I love that. Thank y'all so very much. I know it's not easy to share your quirk, right? Because this it's just it's still work. We're at work right now, right? We are but to come in this professional space and be okay with sharing the things that have made this work challenging, and really sharing the thoughtfulness and the mental fortitude that you have to sustain yourself in the industry. Because even before our fans had a chance to categorize us and objectify us and fetishize us, the industry itself did it before we even entered, right? So thank you so much for sharing your experience and also sharing what you do to deal with the experience. It really means a lot. I'd also like to say thank you to Pineapple Support for bringing us into this space together. And I really appreciate the opportunity to ask you all the questions and get to know you personally, even in this very public space. So thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you on the internet.